Hey, what's up, guys? I'm here with my first topic, school influencers. I'm here with the amazing Miss Schroader. She's been here for how many years, Miss Schroader?
10 years
10 years.
at
10 years.
Sandwiches.
How many years have you been teaching, actually?
I've been teaching 24 years total.
Wow. And what schools have you taught at so far?
I taught 9 years at Lake Worth Middle and 5 years at Park Vista and 10 years now here.
What was your amazing experience just throughout 24 years of teaching?
I've taught a lot of different things. So I taught, my very first teaching lesson was ESOL 6th grade, and then I taught 6th grade English, and then I taught 8th grade, and then I went and taught intensive reading at Park Vista in 10th grade, and then I came here and now I teach 12th grade and speech and debate. So I've done so many different things, I think it keeps me on my toes.
Right. That's amazing to hear. I know that you were one of my teachers last year, and just experiencing this classroom, man, it's been such an honor just to learn and hear from you. I want to talk about school in general. I feel like things have changed in the school system, and a lot of things have been really hidden. A lot of people don't really talk about it, but I just really want to hit a few topics with you. Just speaking about how can we influence the school, how can we empower students, and how can we make an impact at the school. And one of the first things I want to talk to you about is just really the education. I know that education is what the school is made of, obviously, and a lot of kids, I feel like, even for myself, I went through school, it's my senior year, and I had experience where, I came to school sometimes and I didn't really feel like, man, should I really be here, like, should I don't really feel like there's a connection for me here, because I came for academics, but I feel like, in a sense, where it's not taking me where I need to be successful in life. And I feel like so many students, they come with that mindset to school where they don't really feel like doing anything. They don't really feel like they need to be here. And I want to let you know, like, I want to ask you, what should students, how can we invest into students actually, and build up students and call up students just to bring that potential out of them?
I think the best way to bring out the potential in a student is to give them a voice. So maybe through whatever academic area that you offer an opportunity for a student to be him or herself,
Right.
through writing or just different ways to express their knowledge of a particular subject area, maybe through a project or through a spoken word,
Right.
or through a journal or writing assignment or something like that. I think that's one of the ways that I try to connect with students.
Do you feel like it's students don't, in a sense, where they, how do I say it? Do you feel like students lack of their knowing their potential, really, like knowing what they have placed inside of them?
I think it's common for most people.
Right.
Even I went all the way to college and didn't know what I was going to
Right.
be. I didn't think I wanted to be a teacher, and then it kind of opened up this, gift inside of me that I didn't even know that I had. So when you teach students, I think the biggest way to bring the gifts out in them is to give them multiple opportunities to find out what their gifts are.
Right.
I think that's why high school is so important, and to be able to offer music and different electives, and even within the actual classroom, to give just different ways for them to absorb and learn and share their knowledge.
Right. I remember you telling me earlier that you're the teacher, but you had said that students come to teach you sometimes, so you learn so much from students. What is one thing that you learn from students in general?
That happens all the time. So I think that I know something and I design this great lesson to teach, and then I offer an opportunity for students to either share or speak out, and then I realize the roles have been reversed, and now
Right.
I'm learning from students. So one particular activity is, I can't think of an activity, so you're gonna have to cut that part out. But just a time that I learned from a student, I learn from them all the time. To pick one particular lesson would be really difficult for me.
Open mic.
Okay, so through open mic, yes, you're right. All right, you're absolutely right. So for open mic, I don't even take the microphone. I
Right.
sit down and I listen to other students who share a myriad of of knowledge with me from from American history, for instance. So I'm not big on American history. I don't remember learning a whole lot about American history. So for open mics, now I have a kid who history is his favorite class, and he gets to get up there and share what he's learned, or politics even. Politics stress me out. So when I have a kid for open mic who can speak about politics, I'm excited, and I definitely learn that way.
I remember my experience last year, or early this year, just with open mic. I remember my first time up there. It was pretty challenging, and I love how with open mic, you get the opportunity to challenge students. And once I was challenged, I felt that potential. Like I already knew my gift of preaching, because I love preaching, I love communicating with people, I love motivating people. And I remember me just going up there. It was a little scary, but just to see how when I stepped up, how it connected with everybody in the room. And I remember too how if students didn't want to get up to go actually do open mic, you would actually give them a little piece of what was it you gave them?
It was a reflection, so they could write about. So they don't have to get up there to speak, like you're saying. They could write about the speakers that got up there.
I remember like me getting notes back and just hearing like, wow, this touched me, wow, this motivated me, wow, this like built me up. And just for get that response back, it has empowered me in such a way. So I want to say thank you again for that. But yeah, I love that so much. One of the other things I want to talk to you about is just connection with students. I feel like there's a lot, we come to school sometimes, and like there's a lot of students where, you know, we go to school 7 hours a week. 7 hours each day and 5 days a week. And it's like we go to many classes, but what about that student that does not have that connection with that teacher, or does not have that connection with a friend? How can we reach those students where, and another thing too, how can we reach those students where, you know, they're dealing with depression, dealing with anxiety, dealing with, you know, insecurities, all those things? How can we cope with those students?
I think one of the ways our school has taken the initiative on letting kids know that there are teachers who care, who are available, is we have signs on our doors that say, "You matter, I have time to listen." And so I have one on my door and one on my board over there, but there are a lot of teachers here on campus that do that. To kind of start the conversation, you matter more than my curriculum. So if you need to talk, I'm here to listen. And if there's not time to listen, then we'll find time, or we'll find someone who does have time, and that you're not alone. And I think that's the best conversation. And the more I look around, or I walk around school, I'll see, like, I know there's a teacher over here who has the note on her door that says, "I have time to listen, you matter." And I think that's what we need to do more of. And I think our school in particular is doing a pretty good job at doing that.
So just having an opportunity where we have activities and clubs, that's what's going to empower students and build up students and get them out, basically out their comfort zone. Because as well too, like I remember sometimes in middle school when my experience is like, I didn't really have anybody to talk to. I didn't really have anybody really just really connect with. And I just feel like when you do have club activities, when you do have all those things in order, when you do have like things you can participate in, because the reality is you can't do life alone. You have to do it with people, you have to do it with community. And just to see when you get in a group, a community, like you just start opening up, you just start like finding out things that you never knew about yourself. You connect with so much people. And I remember this one quote, like, you're meant to not do life alone, you're meant to do life with people and with society. And I think just connecting with everybody, connecting with people is such an important part. One of the other things I wanted to talk about as well is just, man, like I know like school safety has skyrocketed over the past years. You know, I know a lot of people do know that there has been a lot of mass shootings, a lot of things that particularly go on at schools, and really it's sad in part because, you know, school used to be the place where, you know, school is a safe place, everybody used to say. It was the safest place, and now it's not like that. So it's like, you know, we have to go to school, we have to learn, we have to do all those things, but it's like we have to learn, but we have to keep up those safety precautions as well too. And I wanted to ask you, how can we build a safe community at our school? How can we, in a sense, prevent prevent things from happening, like such as mass shootings or just fights in general, things like that?
And I'm not sure I'm qualified for that answer, but I think just having this conversation alone,
Yeah.
and talking to people about their personal ideas on how to impact. And you had a question earlier about how do you bring out the gifts in people.
Right.
I think it starts with the conversation.
Mm.
And if we don't have the conversation, then we don't know if somebody does have a solution.
Right.
And so by talking to people and saying, hey, what are your views on safety, or what are your views on, school shootings and how we can stop, further problems, I think it starts there. And so maybe somebody does have this concept to save others, and maybe that's part of their calling. Maybe they'll go into a future where they do more community involvement, or maybe that starts the concept of what I should do for my community involvement, because there's an old quote that I remember. It said, make your misery your ministry.
Wow.
So if it makes you miserable, how can you fix that? And not everybody's called for the same thing, so just having a conversation.
Just having that conversation with somebody, connecting with somebody, that's what changes everything, right? I feel like too, there are times where, you hear mass shootings or things like unsafety at schools, and you watch it on the news, and you're just, as a student going to school, you're like, man, I have to watch out, I don't know, you know what I mean? And I think sometimes where, you have to step up as a student, in a sense where you have to connect with students, you have to impact other students, and it starts with one conversation, really. It's not really anything extra, but just one conversation, having with another student, saying hey man, how you doing? Even if you don't know the person or don't really have the same personality type as that other person, just connecting with person, having that fellowship with that other person makes a huge difference. And I think that what makes a school, because the school is not the building, the school is the kids, the teachers, the faculty. That's what makes a school. And I think that's just really important what you had said, and just connecting. I think another thing too, I really wanted to ask you is, how can teachers build up and influence other students? I feel like teachers, in a sense where they don't really have that connection with students, and I feel like it's so important where you do have that connection with students, not in the sense of having that relationship, because not every teacher, not every student is going to connect the same way and go, have that type of relationship, the buddy relationship. But how can how can you as teachers just set it up where, hey, if I'm a student, when I'm going through something, if I have these issues that are going on, how can I go to my teacher and talk about that with her or him?
It's a really tough question. I think if a kid approaches a teacher, I think most teachers, especially here, have a way to deal with it. Maybe it's not on a personal connection, but maybe it's, hey, let me walk with you to guidance, or let me walk with you to the right person.
Right.
So as far as teachers, and reword the question again about, what do you think teachers should do to connect with kids? Was that kind of your question?
Actually, I wanted to ask you too, how, in a sense, how can teachers balance academics, and how can teachers connect with students? So you as a teacher, you're sent here, you're working here to educate students, but we don't want to keep it as, in a sense, it's just education only. But how can we balance the academics, and how can we call out the gifts out of students, and how can we connect with students in that way, that particular way?
I think that is the hashtag goals of every teacher on the planet. How do you balance getting kids involved into what you're trying to teach them?
Right.
And there is an old education quote that says, kids don't care what you know until they know that you care. And so I think the sooner teachers show students how much they care, then kids will kind of buy into the subject area.
Yeah.
But I think that would be the biggest way to balance that.
Yeah.
How do you get kids to learn your subject more? Well, you have to let kids know that you care about them first.
Right. I think that's so important. I know for me as a student, I always wanted that connection with teachers, even if you didn't like me or I didn't like you. I always wanted that connection with you, just because I have to go to your class every day. I have to learn from you. So if there is something going on that I go through, or if from a teacher perspective, if I see something in you that like, hey man, like I want you to step up, or hey, like I want you to start doing this. Like what if that relationship like continued? Like what if like we built that connection where we call up the gifts as okay. I think that's when they figure out their gifts, then that's when they connect to the academics. If we just make it about education, academics, and not hey, what are you passionate about, or what do you love, or things like that, how will students ever connect? And I think that's the huge question. How will students ever connect?
Earlier, you and I were talking, and
Yeah.
something that came up was about the various activities that a teacher does in their classroom.
Right.
And we talked a little bit about the hidden curriculum. And so sometimes students come to your classroom and they think, oh, I'm just going to learn math today.
Right.
Or I'm just going to learn something, I'm going to read a book today. And really, there's a bigger curriculum that's there, and it's how to deal with other people. Or sometimes you could look at your teacher as if, that could be like my former boss.
Right.
And if you, not like you said, I craved a connection with, even if you don't like me, I just wanted that kind of connection. And I think as far as students and teachers could understand that, is that you're not going to connect with everybody.
Right.
But on some level, everybody has something to teach you.
Right.
Whether how to, learn differently,
Right.
or how to express yourself differently. So I know, like, at least in the English curriculum, we're afforded a lot more imaginative ways to do things.
Right.
So we'll do groups, or we'll do individual work, or we'll do debates, or we'll do four corners and things like that get kids out of their comfort zone, which I like that you said that too, because that's kind of how we grow.
Yeah.
And so the more we get students to do that, and teachers too. Teachers can
Yeah.
come out of their comfort zone and try different things, and just
Right.
know that it's okay if you fail at something.
Right.
Just trying builds those connections.
Yeah.
So if I try something and it totally flops, another student will go, wow, that wasn't so good there,
Yeah.
Schroeder. But it's now I have this connection,
Right.
because they might remember something that they tried and they didn't do so well at that either.
Right.
But I was willing to try. I think could be the lesson there.
Right.
So if they didn't learn anything about grammar today,
Yeah.
they learned, wow, even some of the teachers who care so much can do things and not be well at it, or do
Right.
well at it.
Right. I think that's amazing. Like, do you feel like sometimes teachers are too harsh? As a teacher, I know like I have in my time in school, like I experienced teachers where they were easy on students and they were hard on students just because they wanted them to learn. But I feel like there was times where they went that next level. How do you think that discipline, where does that discipline come from, and where does that teaching come from that standpoint? Like, man, like I want you to learn, but if the student doesn't cooperate, the teacher has to step out of their comfort zone and be like a little aggressive and things like that. And it's not in the sense that they want to do that. It's just it's like there's no other way. I remember you were telling me a story earlier about one student that you experienced. What was his name again?
I don't want to say his name,
Oh, well,
but I remember.
Yeah.
And I remember the
Keep
story.
his name secret. Yeah.
So when I first started teaching, I was only 23 years old, and everybody came at me with advice.
Right.
Do this, you should do this. I even had I had a few people who told me, don't smile until December. Be mean, be firm, be whatever. And so when I first started teaching, I tried that, and I was miserable. And I went home thinking I chose the wrong career path.
Right.
And so then the next year, but then kids did walk all over me. I didn't have any classroom management skills, and I didn't know what I was doing technically, and I thought curriculum. So then the second year, I was mean again, and I was mean for a good 3 solid months, and again, I was miserable. I'm like, what am I doing? So I went nice, and then, everything went, south.
Yeah.
So then by my 4th year, I was gonna be tough, and I had this particular kid who didn't bring his school supplies, and I tried to listen to what all these other teachers were telling me, be firm.
Right.
But in my head, I guess I interpreted that as be strict. And so I was really hard on this kid, and I kept saying, where's your stuff? How do you come to school without your book bag? Where's your paper? Where's your pencil? And so after 2 weeks of this, I went to guidance, and I said, hey, what's going on? What's going on with this kid? I can't get through to him. He's not bringing his stuff to school. And
Right.
so this particular student's mom had been arrested, and they were evicted out of the place that they were staying, and him and his father were living out of his van
Wow.
at John Prince Park.
Wow.
And so it really hurt me a lot. And so I changed everything about the way I approach kids. Because for this particular kid, I should have been saying, hey, thanks for showing up today. Is there something that I can get you? Do you need anything?
Right.
But instead I was harassing. So ever since that experience, I decided that I'll never not give a kid a pencil or a piece of paper, or I'm always welcoming. I stand at the door and I'm like, hey, thanks for coming to school today. It's good to see you again. And I really think about that story a lot. It's been 20 years since that happened, but when I tell you, I probably think about that story, because there are kids that I want to be frustrated at. There are kids I haven't seen in a week, and the first thing I want to say is like, where have you been?
Right.
But I think of that story, and I don't ask. I'm just like, hey, thanks for showing up today.
Right.
It's good seeing you. Do you need anything? Need a pencil? You need paper? You need a notebook?
Right. So you think it's really important for actually teachers to check in with students? Do you think that's important?
I think it's important for me.
Yeah.
You know, I think everybody has their own path, and you know, I think you just have to be right with yourself. And so that particular event happened for me, and that's why I am the teacher I am today.
Right.
I don't actually expect anybody else to be me. Right. I just know that that's what works for me, and if it works for you and you're connecting with kids and you're teaching them, then the world is blessed to have you.
Right. Yeah, I love how just for you, like just hearing that one moment 20 years ago changed your whole life and your whole teaching and how you teach students and how you react to students, because it's all about moments. I feel like when you experience those type of moments, it's not about being angry at that student. It's not about trying to battle that student, like, oh, why you didn't come to school, all those things, but it's about like, man, I'm glad you're here. At least you came to school. At least you came to listen, because there's a lot of students, I'm not gonna lie, they skip. they do a whole bunch of stuff. They skip school and do all these things, but for that one student, it's like, man, I haven't been to school in 2 weeks, but I'm still gonna show up. I'm still gonna learn. I still wanna get my diploma. I still wanna graduate. I still wanna get those good grades. So for that student stepping up and just having that, just stepping out of their comfort zone and just coming out to class, even though they don't feel like it, even though they're really like, feel anything like about coming to school, they just come, and your reaction towards them, I think that's one thing that a lot of teachers need to could learn from and could experience with other students as well. I think that leads into how can students actually empower other students? I know for me, like me as a freshman in middle school, I was just in the crowd. I never really felt like I didn't empower anybody. I didn't feel like a leader, because I was always that person that was shy. I was always that person that I've never felt like as a leader, or felt like even taking up that role to even talk to somebody or encourage somebody. But just for all the events that has happened in my life over the years has changed me. But I think it's so important to really empower other students that may not see everything you see. Like you see, everybody has their own path, and everybody has their own life, and everybody has their own experiences. I feel like a lot of people, I remember this one quote, you can't choose what you go through, but you get to choose how you react to it. And I know with trials and tribulation, all those things, there's knowledge in there. And for me as a student, I want to share my knowledge of what I went through to other students. Not about just like the business or the money, all these, how to make money, all these things, whatever, but man, how do I get through situations? How can I overcome these trials in my life? And the question is like, how can students empower other students really?
I think you saying like you started 9th and 10th grade and you didn't know that you were a leader yet. I think being patient with yourself, but also trying to come out of your comfort zone. Right. How do you, like I know here we have so many clubs on campus. Like there's so many, I can't even name them. Yeah. And to kind of break out of your comfort zone and go, you know what, I'm going to try this. Or maybe bring a friend and say, hey, do you want to try this? Or don't be afraid to go alone. Right. I think sometimes we always think we have to bring somebody. Like, try to go alone.
Right.
This world might open up to be a whole different experience for the better if we, just took that one step in that right direction. Right. Or maybe even reach out to teachers. I think most teachers are pretty safe and say, hey, you know what, Schroader, what do you think would be a good club, and I could go, you know what, I don't even know what clubs are on campus, let's check them out.
Right.
And then maybe I would want to go. You know, I never knew, you know, anything about music growing up, but maybe I wouldn't mind, like on a Wednesday afternoon, I'll go with you, let's go check it out and see what it is. And
Right.
and just asking. I think that's another thing people have a hard time is asking for help
Mm.
or asking for advice, or they think for some reason that's weak or
Right.
whatever. So not just as a student, but as teachers too, like asking for help. But for students, to empower other students, I think that would be a big way. You know, just join a club, or talk to a teacher about a club, or maybe even start your own club.
Right.
You know, hey, you know, even with you, I don't think we had. We
Oh.
did have first priority, but
Yeah.
not as during lunch, right? Is
Yeah,
that something that
it
you
was
started?
during lunch, and I did it in mornings. Yeah.
Because I don't think we ever had lunch before, so you
Yeah.
decided that. You're like, how can
Yeah.
I impact more students? And you started brainstorming, and
Yeah.
and I never had first priority, and
Yeah.
so I was like, sure, I'll have it during lunch,
Mhm.
you know?
Yeah.
So I think doing that kind of stuff, and you being the light for others, like when you get to shine your own light, you empower others to go, maybe I'm gonna try that too.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, I think that's one thing I had learned too, man. Like just stepping out your comfort zone, because when you step out your comfort zone, that's where all the things come up. That's where all the blessings and all those things that, man, like this is so amazing. But you don't get to experience that unless you step out your comfort zone.
I agree.
And it's tough sometimes, because you have this idea in your head of, man, connecting with this student, or starting something up, starting a club or activity, or doing music or doing whatever. But you have this, like, you dream of it, but you don't actually step out into it. And I want to tell anybody that's listening to this right now, like if you're that type of student that doesn't feel like they have enough, or they feel like they don't have those gifts or callings, I believe in you. We're all believe in you. I believe that there is purpose. If you're on this planet, I feel like there's purpose for you. I feel like there's something that's in you that no one else has. Because the thing about you is that you're your own person. I can only be Gary. You can only be Miss Schroader. You know what I mean? You have something that no one else has to offer to this world. So whatever gifting you have, you'll find it. But it all happens when you step out your comfort zone and step out into the unknown. And I think that's so amazing what we have experienced at this school, really, just with all the clubs here. And that leads into how do we create a culture at school? How do we create a right culture here? I feel like as well, there's different, how do you say that word?
Which one?
Races or ethnicities, I don't know how to say that.
Ethnicities.
And that, yeah, I get tongue
Ethnicity
tied
or
a lot.
cultures.
Yeah, cultures, or different cultures. People come from different backgrounds, really from here. And, you know, you have this one group of kids that act this way or believe in this, and you have this group of kids that may do this differently from this group. And it's like, how do we become a school in whole? Not just students, but teachers, faculty. How do we get on the same page and go forward into creating that nice culture at school? Not about only education, but just, man, the connection. You feel it when you walk into school. I know I want to walk into school and feel that connection, you know what I mean, with everybody. Even if I don't know your name, I want to walk by the halls and be like, hey, what's up, man? You know what I mean? Like, I want that. So how do we build that? Yeah, one of the other questions I do have is how do we build a right culture at school? There's so many races and cultures that come from different places and different backgrounds, and you have these students that may act this way, or these students that believe in this, and they may not agree on the same terms. But how do we become a school in the same boundary, in the same, what's the word for it? The same page. How do we be how can we be on the same page? How can we empower each other? I think we answered that question already, but like I know for me, like I want to be in a school where I can just walk into school and feel that connection. I can walk through the halls and say, hey, what's up, man? What's going on? You know what I mean? Even though I don't know your name. And I know that we have it here at this school, St. Lucia's. I love like how like we walk through the halls, we high five people, and you just see people and you're just walking around. It's a fun atmosphere to be in. And even with the faculties and teachers here as well too, like they set the tone. How can other schools, and how can not even the schools, but in society, how can we set that culture and set that space for everybody to join in?
I really don't know the answer to that. I think like some of the things that my favorite things about this school is you can high five somebody,
Right.
and I watched one of our supervision guys doing your like hand shaky
the
thing
handshake,
with another
yeah.
kid, and I just thought like that was so cool, like that a kid could connect with a supervision guy, and the supervision guy is still doing his job and you know keeping us safe, and I think like you said something about being on the same page. I think sometimes it's okay to not be on the same page,
Right.
but to not judge that somebody's on a different page,
Wow.
or to just keep trying.
Yeah.
Like to know, you know, today I was in a really bad mood and I didn't connect with anybody, but tomorrow I'm going to try my best to connect with somebody.
Right.
And I think I think everything that we keep talking about, it starts with you, and the more comfortable you are with you and what your efforts are, the better off everybody around you is.
Yeah.
And so, like, I'll make my intention tomorrow to, you know, connect with a few more people tomorrow, because today I didn't connect with anybody because I kind of needed to finish my grades or, you know, something like that. So maybe that school culture, that concept of school culture is to just keep trying, or self-reflect. You know what, today or this entire week I spent holed up in my portable or my classroom or my clubs. So if you know, you're running a club, and then you'll try better tomorrow or the next week. And just that evolution of constantly trying to connect to people, if that's what your goal is.
Wow. Yeah, I love that. I just love how we, like how you said that, it just takes you, like just coming out with new ideas, and just coming out and just being that person, stepping up and being who you are. Because not everybody's going to connect with what you believe in, and not everybody's going to believe in the same thing that you believe in. We're going to follow it the same way, but I'm human, you're human. We can connect together. We can be in the same space together and have fun and just enjoy ourselves. And I want that for every school. I want that for whatever it is, your business, your work, wherever you work at. Let's be tone setters. Let's set the tone for everybody else to follow, and let's set the tone for others just to follow in with us, because you never know what that can bring out of others. You never know what that can bring out of you. But yeah, I just love this conversation. this conversation that we have, Ms. Schroader. I appreciate you so much just for everything that you do, and I believe that we have encouraged a lot of teachers, students, whoever's going to be watching this. I feel like this is going to be for them to connect with it. So yeah, I'm going to end off on a handshake.
I want to learn something though. The next time you have to teach me some kind of pinky something or other. But thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching.